They told me I could not come. My own daughter looked at me with those eyes I used to kiss goodnight when she was small enough to fit in my arms, and she said I was not welcome at her wedding. She said I would ruin everything. She said I could not be trusted. She said the guests would stare. She said I would embarrass her. She said it would be better if I stayed home. And I stood there in my kitchen, the one where I taught her to bake cookies, where we laughed over spilled flour and burnt edges, and I felt something inside me crack like old china dropped on tile. I am 78 years old, and my mind plays tricks on me now. I forget names. I forget faces. I forget where I put my glasses even though they are on my head. I forget what day it is, what year it is, sometimes what decade it is. But I remember the feeling of her tiny hand in mine. I remember the weight of her head on my shoulder when she cried about her first heartbreak. I remember every sacrifice I made so she could have the life she wanted. And now she says, I cannot come to her wedding because I have Alzheimer's disease, and I am an embarrassment. You know this pain, do you not? You know what it feels like when the people you love most look at you like you are broken, like you are a problem to be managed, like you are a burden they must hide away. You know the shame that burns in your chest when you forget something important, and you see that flash of frustration in their eyes. You know the loneliness of being in a room full of family and feeling like a stranger. You know what it is to be invisible in your own life. I see you. I know you are there, reading this, feeling this weight in your heart because you have lived this too. Either you are the one being pushed aside, or you are watching someone you love disappear piece by piece while the world treats them like they are already gone. And I want you to know that what happened at my daughter's wedding changed everything. What happened when the groom saw me walk through those doors changed the entire story. But I need to take you back first. I need to make you understand how I got there. If you are watching this right now, I want you to subscribe to this channel before I go any further, because what I am about to tell you is not just my story. It is the story of so many of us who have been told we are too much trouble, too inconvenient, too difficult to include. This channel is a place where your story matters, where your pain is seen, where you are not alone. Hit that subscribe button right now, because every week I share stories that will make you feel less alone in this journey. Stories that remind you that even when your mind fails you, your heart still knows what matters. Stories that prove love is stronger than memory. Subscribe now because you deserve to be part of a community that understands, that sees you, that knows you are still here, still valuable, still worthy of love and inclusion. Click subscribe. Do it now, because what comes next in my story will break your heart and then put it back together in a way you never expected. The invitation came in the mail 3 months before the wedding. It was thick and expensive, the kind with gold lettering and tissue paper inside. I remember holding it in my hands and feeling confused because it was addressed to me, but it only had one name. Mine. Not mine plus guest. Just mine, and I thought maybe it was a mistake. I called my daughter Emma, and I said, "Sweetheart, I think the invitation printer made an error because it does not say I can bring anyone." And there was this long silence on the phone, the kind of silence that is so heavy you can feel it pressing against your ear. And then she said, "Mom, we need to talk." She came over that afternoon. She sat across from me at my kitchen table, and she would not look me in the eyes. She kept staring at her hands, twisting her engagement ring around and around her finger like she was trying to unscrew it from her skin. And she said, "Mom, I love you, but I need to be honest with you. Your Alzheimer's is getting worse. You are getting worse. Last month at dinner, you forgot my fiancé's name 3 times. You asked him if he was my new boyfriend even though we have been engaged for a year. You told the same story 4 times in 1 hour. You got confused about where the bathroom was in the restaurant even though we have been going there for years." And I could see her point. I could see it all happening even as she said it, and I felt the shame rising in my throat, like bile. She kept going. She said, "Mom, I cannot have you at the wedding. I just cannot. There will be 200 people there. My fiancé's family is very important. His father is a senator. His mother is on the board of 3 charities. Everyone will be watching. Everyone will be judging. And if you get confused, if you have one of your episodes, it will ruin everything. Everything I have worked for. Everything I have planned. I need this day to be perfect." I asked her what she meant by one of my episodes. She looked at me like I was supposed to know, like it was obvious. She said, "Mom, you know what I mean. Like last week when you called me at 2 in the morning crying because you could not remember where Dad was. and I had to remind you that he has been dead for 6 years. Or like the time you got lost walking to the mailbox and the neighbors had to bring you home. Or like when you accused the home care aide of stealing your jewelry and we found it all in the freezer where you put it because you thought it would be safe there. She said these things like they were evidence in a trial, like they were proof that I was guilty of being inconvenient, of being difficult, of being damaged. I told her I would try harder. I would take my medications. I would write things down. I would stay quiet at the wedding. I would sit in the back. I would not talk to anyone. I would just be there to see her marry the man she loves. I begged her. I actually begged my own daughter to let me attend her wedding. And she shook her head and she said, "Mom, it is not about trying harder. It is about what is best for everyone. And what is best is if you stay home. We will take pictures. We will bring you cake. We will tell you all about it. But you cannot be there. I am sorry. I am so sorry. But this is my decision, and it is final." She left after that. She hugged me at the door, and I could feel her crying against my shoulder, but she did not change her mind. She got in her car and she drove away, and I stood in my doorway watching her taillights disappear down the street, and I felt like I was disappearing too, like I was being erased, like I was already gone, even though I was still standing there breathing the evening air. I went inside, and I sat in the dark for hours. I did not turn on any lights. I did not eat dinner. I just sat there feeling the weight of being unwanted by the person I wanted most in the world. The weeks passed and I tried to accept it. I tried to tell myself she was right, that I would embarrass her, that I could not be trusted, that my broken mind would ruin her perfect day. I tried to make peace with staying home. I told myself I would watch the wedding video later. I told myself that was enough, but it was not enough. It was not even close to enough. Every time I thought about that day, about her walking down the aisle without me there, about her saying her vows while I sat alone in my house, I felt something breaking inside me that could not be fixed. I would wake up in the middle of the night with my heart racing, my hands gripping the sheets, my mind screaming that this was wrong, that letting my disease determine my worth was wrong, that accepting exile from my own daughter's life was wrong. But then morning would come, and I would look in the mirror and see this old woman with trembling hands and confused eyes, and I would think maybe Emma is right. Maybe I am too broken to be part of her perfect day. I started marking the days on my calendar. 21 days until the wedding. 20 days. 19. 18. Each morning I would wake up and cross off another day and feel the weight of it settling heavier on my chest. I tried to keep myself busy. I tried to clean the house. I tried to work in the garden. I tried to read books, but the words would swim on the page, and I could not remember what I had read from one paragraph to the next. I tried to watch television, but I would forget what show I was watching halfway through an episode. Everything felt like it was slipping through my fingers like water, like I was losing my grip on reality itself. And maybe I was. Maybe that is what this disease does. It does not just steal your memories. It steals your sense of being solid in the world. It makes you question everything, makes you wonder if what you remember is real, or if what you are experiencing right now is real, or if anything is real at all. I called Emma 3 times that week. The first time I called to ask what time the wedding started, and she reminded me gently that I was not invited. The second time, I called to ask the same question, and I could hear the frustration in her voice when she reminded me again. The third time I called, she did not answer. She sent me a text message instead. It said, "Mom, I love you, but you need to stop calling about the wedding. You are not coming. We have been through this. Please try to remember." And I stared at that text message for an hour trying to understand how my daughter could write those words to me. Please try to remember, as if I had any control over what my mind held on to and what it let go, as if I was choosing to forget, as if this was something I could fix with more effort or better concentration. Please try to remember, like it was that simple, like my brain was not literally deteriorating, like the neurons were not dying and the connections were not breaking, and the pathways were not closing off one by one, leaving me stranded in a maze with no way out. 14 days until the wedding. 13, 12. I stopped eating much. Food did not taste like anything anymore. Everything was cardboard in my mouth. I lost weight. My clothes hung loose on my frame. My sister Rose kept calling to check on me, and I kept telling her I was fine, even though we both knew I was not fine. I was the opposite of fine. I was a woman watching the calendar count down to the day her daughter would get married without her. I was a woman whose disease had become more important than her relationship. I was a woman being erased from her own family story, and I did not know how to fight it. I did not know how to make Emma see that I was still her mother, even with this broken mind, that I still deserved to be there even if I might forget people's names or ask the same questions twice or get confused about where I was, that my presence mattered more than my performance. 10 days until the wedding, 9 days, 8. I started having panic attacks. I would be sitting in my chair and suddenly my chest would tighten and my breath would come in short gasps and I would feel like I was dying, like my heart was going to explode, like the walls were closing in. And I would sit there gulping air trying to remember what was real and what was panic and what was my disease making everything worse. I called my doctor and she increased my anxiety medication. She asked if I was sleeping and I lied and said yes, even though I was barely sleeping at all. How could I sleep when every time I closed my eyes I saw Emma in her white dress walking down an aisle I would never see? How could I sleep when my mind kept replaying that conversation in my kitchen over and over? You cannot be there. You cannot be there. You cannot be there. The words like a drumbeat, like a verdict, like a prison sentence. 7 days until the wedding, 6 days, 5. I thought about what I would do that day. Maybe I would go to the movies, sit in a dark theater and pretend I was somewhere else. Maybe I would go to the park, feed the ducks, watch children play. Remind myself that life continues even when your heart is breaking. Maybe I would just stay home and close all the curtains and sit in the dark and let the hours pass until the wedding was over and I could stop thinking about it. Except I knew I would never stop thinking about it. I knew this would be the wound that never healed. The moment that would define the rest of my relationship with my daughter. The day she chose her image over her mother. The day my disease won. I started having dreams about the wedding. In the dreams I was there, but no one could see me. I was a ghost walking through the ceremony, invisible, reaching out to touch Emma's face and my hand passing right through her like smoke. I would wake up crying, not sure if the dreams were real or if my memories were dreams. The line between what was happening and what I imagined was getting thinner every day. My mind was betraying me more and more. I would find notes I had written to myself and not remember writing them. I would start cooking dinner and forget halfway through what I was making. I would call Emma and forget why I called. And every time it happened, I thought about her words. You are getting worse. You are getting worse. You are getting worse. My sister Rose came to visit 2 weeks before the wedding. She brought groceries and cleaned my kitchen and sat with me while I cried. I told her everything. I told her how Emma had banned me from the wedding. I told her how worthless I felt, how invisible, how much it hurt to be considered such a problem that my own child did not want me at the most important day of her life. And Rose held my hand, and she said something I will never forget. She said, "You are not the problem. Your disease is not who you are. You are still the woman who raised that girl. You are still her mother. You are still worthy of being there." And then she said something else. She said, "So what are you going to do about it?" I looked at her confused. I said, "What can I do? She banned me. She made it clear I am not welcome." And Rose smiled this small, sad smile, and she said, "When has being unwelcome ever stopped you from doing what is right? You taught Emma to stand up for herself. You taught her to fight for what she believes in. Maybe it is time you fight for yourself. Maybe it is time you show up anyway." The idea terrified me. The idea of going to that wedding uninvited, of causing a scene, of proving Emma right that I could not be trusted. But the idea of not going terrified me more. The idea of missing this moment, of letting this disease take one more thing from me, of letting fear and shame keep me from the people I love. I could not do it. I could not let that happen. So I made a decision. I decided I would go. I decided I would get dressed in my best clothes, and I would go to that church, and I would watch my daughter get married even if she did not want me there, even if it made her angry, even if everyone stared. I would go because I am her mother, and I have that right. I have earned that right through every sleepless night I spent taking care of her when she was sick, through every sacrifice I made so she could have opportunities I never had, through every moment of love I poured into raising her. I would go. Now I want to pause here because I know some of you are feeling something right now. You are feeling that ache in your chest because you know what it is like to be excluded, to be told you are too much, to be made to feel like you should hide yourself away so other people can be comfortable. And I want you to do something for me. I want you to go down to the comments right now and type these words. I deserve to be seen. Just that. I deserve to be seen. Type it in the comments. Let other people who are watching this see it. Let them know they are not alone. Let yourself know you are not alone. Because when you type those words, you are not just commenting on a video. You are declaring your worth. You are standing up for yourself. You are telling the world and telling yourself that you matter, that your presence matters, that you deserve to take up space in this world, even when your mind does not work the way it used to. Type it now. I deserve to be seen. Do it for yourself. Do it for every person who has ever been made to feel invisible. Type it and mean it. I deserve to be seen. The morning of the wedding, I woke up early. I had barely slept. I had been so afraid I would forget, so afraid that I would wake up confused and miss it entirely, that I had set 6 alarms and left notes all over my bedroom reminding me what day it was and what I needed to do. The first note was taped to my bathroom mirror. It said, "Today is Emma's wedding. You are going. Be brave." The second note was on my closet door. The third was on my dresser. The fourth was on the nightstand. I had covered my bedroom in reminders like a fortress against my failing memory. And when I woke up at 5 in the morning with my heart pounding, I read each note 3 times to make sure I understood, to make sure I remembered, to make sure this day would not slip away from me the way so many days had slipped away before. I got up and I showered. The hot water felt good on my skin. I stood there for a long time, letting it run over me, trying to wash away the fear and the doubt and the shame. I washed my hair twice because I could not remember if I had already washed it. I used the lavender soap Emma had given me for Christmas 2 years ago, or was it 3 years ago? I could not remember, but I remembered she had given it to me. I remembered her saying it would help me relax, and I needed to relax. I needed to be calm. I needed to be present and clear for what I was about to do. I stood in front of my closet, trying to decide what to wear. I had a dress I had bought for the wedding back when I thought I was invited. It was blue, a soft powder blue that Emma always said brought out my eyes. I had bought it 6 months ago when she first got engaged. I had been so excited, so happy for her, so eager to be part of her special day. I had taken that dress to 3 different tailors to get the fit exactly right. I had bought shoes to match, a clutch purse, a necklace. I had planned my entire outfit like it mattered, like I mattered. And then she told me I could not come, and I had shoved the dress to the back of my closet and tried to forget it existed, but I could not forget. Every time I opened my closet, I saw that blue dress hanging there like a ghost, like a reminder of everything I had lost. I pulled it out now. I held it up to the light. It was beautiful, simple, but elegant. The kind of dress a mother wears to her daughter's wedding. I put it on slowly, carefully, my shaking hands struggling with the zipper. It took me 4 tries to get it fastened, but I managed. I looked at myself in the full-length mirror on my bedroom door, and for a moment I did not recognize the woman staring back at me. She looked old, older than I felt inside. Her face was lined with wrinkles I did not remember getting. Her hair was thinner than it used to be, more gray than brown. Her hands trembled at her sides. Her eyes looked tired, so tired, like she had been fighting for a very long time and was not sure she had any fight left. But she also looked determined. She looked like someone who had made a decision and was going to see it through no matter what. She looked like a mother who was done being invisible. I did my hair the best I could. My hands shake now, and it is hard to hold a curling iron steady. It is hard to pin back sections. It is hard to make things look the way they used to look when my hands were strong and my mind was clear, but I tried. I brushed my hair until it shone. I pinned it back in a simple twist. I left a few strands loose around my face the way Emma used to wear her hair when she was in high school. I thought maybe if I looked put together enough, if I looked presentable enough, people would not stare quite so much. People would not whisper quite so loudly. People would see a mother at her daughter's wedding instead of a sick old woman who should have stayed home. I put on makeup, foundation to cover the age spots and the uneven skin tone, blush to give my cheeks some color, eyeshadow in a soft brown, mascara that I applied with shaking hands getting more on my eyelid than my lashes. I wiped it off and tried again, and finally got it mostly right. I put on lipstick, the pink one Emma gave me for my birthday 2 years ago, or 3 years, or 5. I could not remember, but I remembered she gave it to me. I remembered her saying this color would look beautiful on me, and I wanted to look beautiful today. I wanted to look like someone worth including, worth loving, worth remembering. I put on the pearl earrings my husband gave me on our 20th anniversary. He had saved for months to buy them. He had been so proud when he gave them to me. He had said, "These are for the most beautiful woman I know, for the mother of my children, for my best friend, For the love of my life. He had been dead for 6 years now, but I still wore those earrings on special occasions. I wore them to remind myself that someone had loved me once, that someone had thought I was worth pearls and promises and forever. Even if I could not always remember his face clearly anymore, even if some days I forgot he was gone and looked for him in rooms where he would never be again, even if this disease was stealing him from me one memory at a time, those earrings were proof that love had existed, that I had mattered to someone, that I was more than this broken mind and this failing body. I looked at myself one more time in the mirror, and I said out loud, "You can do this. You are her mother. You raised her. You have every right to be there. You have earned this. Do not let fear win. Do not let shame win. Do not let this disease take one more thing from you. Go. Be brave. Show up." And maybe she will be angry. Maybe she will ask you to leave. Maybe it will be terrible. But at least you will have tried. At least you will have fought for your right to be part of her life. At least you will know you did not give up without a fight. The taxi driver was a young man with kind eyes. He asked me where I was going, and I told him the name of the church. He asked if I was going to a wedding, and I said yes, my daughter's wedding. He smiled and said congratulations. And I did not tell him that I was not invited. I did not tell him that I was about to walk into a place where I was explicitly not wanted. I just smiled back and said, "Thank you." The church was beautiful. It was an old stone building with tall stained glass windows and flowers everywhere, white roses and peonies, and something else I could not name. The smell was overwhelming, sweet and heavy, the kind of smell that makes you feel like you are inside a memory. I stood outside for a long time watching people arrive, women in fancy dresses and men in dark suits. Everyone looked so polished, so perfect, so together, and I looked down at my dress and my shaking hands, and I almost turned around. I almost got back in the taxi that was still waiting at the curb, but then I thought about Emma. I thought about the little girl who used to climb into my bed during thunderstorms, the teenager who cried in my arms when her first boyfriend broke her heart, the young woman who called me first when she got engaged. I thought about all the moments we had shared and all the moments I had already lost to this disease, and I knew I could not miss this one. I could not let Alzheimer's take this from me, too. I walked up the steps. My legs felt weak. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might burst out of my chest. The doors were open, and I could see inside. I could see the pews filling up with guests. I could see the flowers at the altar. I could see the space where Emma would soon stand and promise her life to someone else. I took a deep breath, and I walked in. The moment I stepped through those doors, everything changed. People turned to look at me. I saw faces I recognized and faces I did not. I saw Emma's friends from college. I saw distant relatives I had not seen in years. I saw my son-in-law-to-be's family, all of them dressed like they were going to a gala, all of them staring at me like I was an intruder, which I suppose I was. I was uninvited. I was unwelcome. I was the mother with Alzheimer's who could not be trusted not to make a scene. And here I was making a scene just by existing in this space. I looked for somewhere to sit. The back pews were filling up fast. I thought maybe I could slip into a corner. Maybe I could make myself small. Maybe I could be there without being seen. But then I heard a voice, a man's voice, deep and steady. He said, "Excuse me, are you Emma's mother?" I turned and I saw him, the groom, Emma's fiancé. His name was swimming just out of reach in my mind, but I knew his face. Tall and handsome in his tuxedo, dark hair, blue eyes, the kind of man who looks like he belongs in a magazine, the kind of man Emma deserves. He was walking toward me, and I braced myself for what was coming, for him to tell me to leave, for him to call security, for him to do what Emma had asked and protect her from her embarrassing mother. He reached me and he stopped. He looked at me for a long moment, really looked at me. Not the way people usually look at me now, with pity or discomfort, or that quick glance away when they realize I am confused. He looked at me like he was trying to see something, like he was searching for something in my face. And then he smiled. It was not a polite smile. It was not a fake smile. It was a real smile that reached all the way to his eyes and made them crinkle at the corners. He said, "I am so glad you are here." He said it loud enough that people around us could hear. He said, "Emma told me you might not make it, and I have been hoping you would." He reached out and he took my hand, my shaking, trembling hand, and he held it gently like it was something precious. He said, "I have been wanting to meet you properly. I have been wanting to tell you thank you." I was confused. I said, "Thank you for what?" "I am the mother who forgets your name. I am the problem Emma is trying to hide. I am the reason she did not want me here. And he shook his head. He said, no. You are the woman who raised the most incredible person I have ever met. You are the reason Emma is who she is. You are the reason I fell in love with her. And I need you to know that you are welcome here. More than welcome. You are honored here. Then he did something that made my heart stop. He offered me his arm and he said, will you let me escort you to your seat? Not the back. Not some corner where I could hide. He walked me down the center aisle, down the middle of that church with everyone watching. He walked me all the way to the front row where the mother of the bride sits, the seat that had been left empty, the seat that Emma had decided I did not deserve, and he helped me sit down. He made sure I was comfortable. He squeezed my hand one more time and he said, thank you for being here. This means everything to me. Then he walked back up the aisle to take his place at the altar. I sat there shaking. I could feel people staring. I could feel the whispers starting. I wondered where Emma was. I wondered if she knew I was here. I wondered if she was furious. I wondered if she would call off the wedding. I wondered if I had just ruined everything exactly the way she feared I would. And then the music started, the processional. Everyone stood. I stood too, even though my legs felt like water. I turned like everyone else to watch the bridesmaids walk down the aisle. Pink dresses, white roses, smiling faces. And then the music changed. The wedding march. The moment everyone had been waiting for. The doors at the back opened, and there she was. My daughter, my Emma, in a white dress that looked like it was made of clouds and starlight. Her hair was perfect. Her makeup was perfect. She was holding her bouquet in both hands, and she was smiling that nervous, excited smile that brides have. And then she saw me. Her eyes landed on me sitting in the front row where I was not supposed to be, and I watched her smile falter. I watched her stop walking. I watched her face change from joy to shock to something I could not read. The music kept playing, but she was not moving. Everyone was looking at her. Everyone was waiting. And I felt the tears starting because I knew I had done exactly what she feared. I had ruined her perfect day. But then something happened that I did not expect. Her father, my ex-husband who was supposed to walk her down the aisle, whispered something to her. I could not hear what he said, but I saw her nod. I saw her take a breath. I saw her start walking again. She walked down that aisle looking at me the whole time. Not at her groom, not at the guests, at me. And when she got to the front, she stopped. She stopped right in front of me. She handed her bouquet to her maid of honor, and she reached for my hands. She pulled me to my feet. She was crying. I was crying. Everyone was crying. And she said, Mom, I am so sorry. I am so sorry I told you not to come. I am so sorry I made you feel like you were not wanted. I am so sorry I let my fear and my pride matter more than you. You are my mother. You will always be my mother. And I need you here. I need you to be part of this. Please forgive me. I held her face in my hands. This beautiful girl who I grew inside my body. This woman who I raised and loved and apparently hurt more than I knew. I said there is nothing to forgive. I said I love you. I said I am so proud of you. And then I kissed her forehead the way I used to when she was little. And I sat back down and she went to stand with her groom. And I watched through tears as they said their vows. I watched as they promised to love each other in sickness and health, for better or worse, in good times and bad, till death do them part. And I thought about how those words mean something different when you live with a disease that steals your mind piece by piece. I thought about how love has to be stronger than memory, how it has to survive even when everything else fades. After the ceremony, Emma came to me. She introduced me to her new husband properly. She told him stories about me, about us, about our life together. She told him about how I taught her to bake, how I stayed up all night with her when she had the flu, how I drove her to dance class 3 times a week for 8 years, how I worked 2 jobs to pay for her college. She told him things I had forgotten, things I did not even know she remembered. And I realized something. I realized that even though my memory is broken, hers is not. She carries our history. She holds on to the things I have lost. She is my memory now. At the reception, I sat at the family table. Emma made sure of it. She introduced me to everyone who came by. She did not hide me. She did not make excuses for me. When I forgot someone's name, she gently reminded me. When I got confused about where I was, she took my hand and grounded me. When I asked the same question twice, she answered it twice with patience and love. She let me be there. She let me be part of her day. She let me be her mother. But here is the part that changed everything. Here is the twist in this story that I did not see coming. Later in the evening, after the dancing had started and the cake had been cut, Emma's new husband pulled me aside. He asked if we could talk privately. We went out to the garden behind the reception hall. It was quiet there, just the two of us and the sound of crickets and distant music. He said, "I need to tell you something. I need to tell you why I was so glad you came today. Why I insisted on walking you to the front row. Why it mattered so much to me that you were here." He said my mother had Alzheimer's disease. She was diagnosed when I was 20. She declined rapidly. Within 3 years, she did not know who I was anymore. Within 5 years, she was gone. He said I watched my father struggle with the decision of whether to include her in family events, whether to bring her to my college graduation, whether to have her at my sister's wedding. And every time he decided it was too hard, too complicated, too risky, he left her at the care facility. He protected us from having to see her that way. He thought he was doing the right thing. He thought he was sparing us pain. He said, but what he did not understand is that by keeping her away, he took away our last chances to be with her. Our last chances to make memories, even if she would not remember them. Our last chances to show her that she still mattered, that she was still part of our family, that we still loved her, even when she could not love us back in the same way. He said I was never able to tell her I was engaged. She never met Emma. She never knew I found someone to love. She died alone in a facility surrounded by strangers, and I will carry that guilt for the rest of my life. He said when Emma told me about you, about your Alzheimer's, about how she was afraid you would embarrass her at the wedding, I saw my father's fear all over again. I saw the same decision being made, the same choice to prioritize comfort over love, to prioritize what looks good over what is right. And I could not let it happen. I could not let Emma make the same mistake my father made. I could not let her lose these moments with you because she was afraid of what other people might think. He said, so I told her that if you were not at our wedding, then there would be no wedding. I told her that the woman who raised her deserved to see her get married. I told her that your disease does not make you less worthy of being there. It makes it more important that you are there, because we do not know how many more moments like this we will have. I told her that I would rather have a messy, imperfect wedding with you there than a perfect wedding without you. And that is why you are here. That is why I walked you down that aisle. That is why you are sitting at the family table. Because you are family. Because you matter. Because your daughter loves you even when she is scared. And because I learned from losing my mother that we do not get these moments back. I stood there in that garden listening to this man I barely knew tell me about his mother, and I felt something break open inside me. Not break apart, break open. Like my heart was expanding to hold more than I thought it could. I realized that I had spent so much time feeling like a burden, feeling like my disease made me less than, feeling like I should hide away and make myself small so other people could be comfortable. But this man was telling me that my presence mattered, that being there mattered, that love is not contingent on having a perfect mind. I asked him what his mother's name was. He said her name was Rose, just like my sister. Just like the woman who told me to fight for myself, to show up, to refuse to be invisible. And I felt like maybe that was not a coincidence. Maybe that was the universe telling me something. Maybe that was a sign that I made the right choice. I went back inside. I found Emma dancing with her father. I waited until the song ended, and then I asked if I could have the next dance. She said yes. We danced slowly, carefully, her holding me up when I stumbled. And I told her what her husband had told me. I told her about his mother, about his guilt, about why he fought for me to be there. And she held me tighter, and she cried into my shoulder, and she said I almost made the worst mistake of my life. I almost let my shame about your disease keep you from this moment. I almost chose perfection over love. Thank you for coming anyway. Thank you for showing up even when I told you not to. Thank you for being braver than I was. We danced until the song ended, and then another song started, and we kept dancing. And I looked around at all these people celebrating love and commitment, and I thought about how marriage vows talk about sickness and health, but they do not prepare you for diseases like this. Diseases that take the person away slowly, that leave the body, but steal the mind, that make you grieve someone who is still alive. But I also thought about how love can be bigger than memory, how it can survive even when everything else fades, how showing up matters even when it is hard, how being present matters even when you cannot remember it later. I want to tell you something now. If you are watching this, and you are struggling with Alzheimer's or dementia or any disease that is stealing your mind, you need to hear this. You are not a burden. You are not an embarrassment. You are not less worthy of love and inclusion because your brain does not work the way it used to. You are still you. You are still valuable. You still deserve to be seen and heard and included in the lives of the people who love you. Do not let anyone make you feel like you should hide away. Do not let shame keep you from the moments that matter. Do not let fear rob you of the time you have left with the people you love. And if you are watching this because someone you love has Alzheimer's, I need you to hear this too. Include them. Invite them. Make space for them even when it is messy and complicated and hard. Yes, they might forget names. Yes, they might ask the same questions over and over. Yes, they might get confused. Yes, people might stare, but they will know they are loved. They will feel that they matter. They will sense that you fought for them to be there. And those feelings go deeper than memory. Those feelings live in a place that the disease cannot reach. The wedding ended late. Emma and her husband drove me home themselves. They did not trust a taxi. They wanted to make sure I got inside safely. They walked me to my door, and Emma hugged me for a long time. She said, "I love you, Mom. I am sorry I ever made you doubt that. I am sorry I let fear win, even for a moment. You are the most important person in my life, and I will never shut you out again. I promise." I went inside, and I sat in my living room in my blue dress with my pearl earrings and my pink lipstick, and I cried. I cried for all the moments I thought I had lost. I cried for the daughter who almost chose perfection over love but changed her mind. I cried for the son-in-law who lost his mother too soon and made sure I would not be lost to my daughter while I am still here. I cried because I was so tired. I cried because I was so grateful. I cried because I had shown up. I had been brave. I had refused to be invisible. And it mattered. The next morning, I woke up confused. I did not remember the wedding at first. I found my blue dress hanging on the closet door, and I did not know why it was there. I found a note on my nightstand in Emma's handwriting that said, "Mom, thank you for coming to my wedding. I love you so much." And slowly the memories came back, piece by piece, like a puzzle assembling itself in my mind. I remembered the church, the flowers, the groom walking me down the aisle, Emma stopping to apologize, the dance, the conversation in the garden, the feeling of being loved despite my broken mind. But even as the memories came back, I knew they were fragile. I knew they might disappear again tomorrow or next week or next month. I knew this disease would eventually steal even this beautiful day from me. But for now I had it. For now I could hold on to it. And that was enough. I got out of bed slowly. My body ached from the dancing, from the standing, from the emotional exhaustion of being present and seen and included after so long feeling invisible. I made myself coffee, and I sat at my kitchen table, and I thought about everything that had happened, about how close I had come to not going, about how easily I could have let fear and shame keep me home, about how different my life would be right now if I had made that choice. I would have woken up this morning knowing I had missed my daughter's wedding, knowing I had let Alzheimer's win, knowing I had chosen invisibility over courage, and that knowledge would have destroyed me in ways this disease never could, because physical deterioration is one thing, but choosing to give up, choosing to accept erasure, choosing to let other people's discomfort determine your worth, that is a different kind of death. That is dying while you are still alive. Emma called me around noon. She asked if I remembered the wedding. I told her yes. I told her I remembered everything, every moment, every word, every feeling, and I did not tell her that I was not sure how long those memories would last. I did not tell her that even now parts of it were already getting fuzzy. I did not tell her that by next week I might need her to show me the pictures and tell me the story of what happened. I just told her I remembered, and I let her believe it would last forever. She said she wanted to come over. She said she and her husband wanted to talk to me, and my heart started racing because I thought maybe she was angry. Maybe now that the wedding was over and the guests had gone home, she was going to tell me how much I had embarrassed her, how much I had ruined her perfect day, how much she wished I had stayed home like she asked. But when they arrived an hour later, she was smiling. She was holding her husband's hand, and they both looked happy. Tired, but happy. They sat down with me in my living room, and Emma said, "Mom, we need to apologize to you. We need to apologize for so many things. For making you feel unwelcome, for prioritizing appearances over love, for letting fear dictate our choices, for almost making the worst mistake of our lives." She said having you at the wedding made everything better, made everything more real, made everything matter more. She said people kept coming up to us asking about you, asking about your relationship, asking about your life, and we got to tell them stories. We got to share memories. We got to celebrate you the way you deserve to be celebrated. And we realized that we had been so worried about you embarrassing us that we never considered how much we would have embarrassed ourselves by excluding you. Her husband said his mother had a saying. She used to say the measure of a person is not how they treat those who can give them something, but how they treat those who need something from them. And he said I failed that test when I let my father exclude my mother from family events because she had Alzheimer's. I let him convince me it was the practical choice, the kind choice, the choice that spared everyone pain, but it was not any of those things. It was cowardice dressed up as compassion, and I have lived with that regret every day since she died. He said seeing you at the wedding, seeing Emma reconcile with you, seeing the love between you despite the disease, it gave me something I did not know I needed. It gave me a chance to do it right this time, to honor the mother who could not be there by honoring the mother who could. And I am grateful, more grateful than I can express. We sat there talking for hours. They told me about the wedding, about the guests, about the dancing, about the toasts. They showed me pictures on their phones, and with each picture a new memory would surface. Oh yes, I remember that moment. I remember that person. I remember that feeling. And Emma would squeeze my hand and say, "I am so glad you were there. I am so glad we have these memories together. Even if you forget them someday, I will remember. I will hold on to them for both of us." And that is when I understood something profound. Memory is not just an individual experience. It is a collective one. When my mind fails, the people who love me become my memory keepers. They hold on to the stories. They preserve the moments. They carry the history forward. And as long as they remember, I am not really lost. I live on in their memories, even when my own are gone. Before they left, Emma gave me a photo album. She said, "I made this for you. It is pictures from the wedding, from our whole lives together, from all the moments that matter." She said, "I want you to have it so that even on the days when you cannot remember, you can look at these pictures and know that you were loved, that you mattered, that you were part of something beautiful." I opened the album, and there on the first page was a picture of me as a young mother holding baby Emma in my arms. I remembered that day, the overwhelming love, the terror, the sense that my life had changed forever in the best possible way. I turned the page, and there was Emma as a toddler, gap-toothed and grinning, covered in mud from playing in the garden. I turned the page again, and there she was in her first day of school outfit, nervous and excited, holding my hand so tight I could still feel it decades later. Page after page of our life together, of moments I had lived and forgotten, and was now seeing again for the first time in years. And then, I got to the end of the album. The last pages were from the wedding. There was a picture of the groom walking me down the aisle, a picture of Emma hugging me with tears streaming down both our faces, a picture of us dancing together, a picture of the three of us, Emma and her husband and me, smiling at the camera like a real family, like people who loved each other, like people who had fought for each other and won. Emma had written captions under each photo. Under the picture of us dancing, she had written "the most important dance of my life." Under the picture of us hugging, she had written "the moment I chose love over fear." Under the picture of the three of us, she had written "my family, complete." I closed the album, and I held it against my chest, and I cried. Not sad tears this time, grateful tears, overwhelmed tears, tears that came from a place so deep I did not have words for it. Emma wrapped her arms around me, and we sat there holding each other while her husband quietly excused himself to give us privacy. And Emma whispered in my ear, "I love you, Mom. I will always love you. No matter what this disease takes from you, it cannot take that. It cannot take us. I will fight for you the way you have always fought for me. I will show up for you the way you showed up for me yesterday. I will be your memory when yours is gone. I will be your voice when yours is silenced. I will be your advocate when you cannot advocate for yourself. You are my mother, and you will never be invisible to me again. I promise. I do not know how long I will remember yesterday, I do not know how long I will remember this morning. I do not know how long I will remember Emma's promise or her husband's story or the feeling of being seen and loved and included. Maybe I will forget it all tomorrow. Maybe next week it will be gone entirely. Maybe someday Emma will show me the wedding photos in that album and I will not recognize myself in them. I will not remember the church or the flowers or the blue dress or any of it. But here is what I know. Here is what I understand now in a way I did not understand before. Memory is not the same as meaning. Just because I might forget does not mean it did not matter. Just because my mind will not hold on to these moments does not mean they were not real, does not mean they did not change something fundamental about who I am and who Emma is and what our relationship will be going forward. I spent so many years thinking that my memories defined me, that without them I would cease to exist in any meaningful way. And maybe that is partially true. Maybe I am losing pieces of myself every day. Maybe the woman I was at 30 or 40 or 50 is already gone. Maybe the memories that shaped her are disappearing like water down a drain. But what I learned at that wedding is that I am more than my memories. I am more than my mind. I am the sum total of every life I have touched, every person I have loved, every moment I have been present for even if I cannot remember it later. I am Emma's mother. That is true whether I remember giving birth to her or not. I am her husband's mother-in-law. That is true whether I remember his name tomorrow or not. I am part of their story now, part of their wedding, part of their marriage, part of their future. And nothing my disease does to my brain can erase that. That is what I want you to understand if you are watching this. If you are living with Alzheimer's or dementia or any condition that is stealing your memories, you need to know this. You are more than what you can remember. You are more than the thoughts you can hold on to. You are the love you have given, the kindness you have shown, the courage you have demonstrated, the lives you have touched. Those things exist independently of your ability to recall them. Those things are real and permanent and true even when your memories are not. And the people who love you will carry those things forward. They will be your witnesses, your archivists, your proof that you existed and mattered and made a difference in this world. So do not give up. Do not hide. Do not let anyone convince you that your failing mind makes you less worthy of love or inclusion or presence. Keep showing up. Keep fighting for the moments that matter. Keep choosing courage over fear. Because every time you do, you are creating ripples that will extend far beyond your ability to remember them. You are teaching the people around you how to love someone whose mind is failing. You are showing them that dignity and worth are not dependent on cognitive function. You are demonstrating that showing up is more important than performing perfectly. And those are lessons that will change them, that will make them better people. That will help them when they inevitably face their own struggles and losses and moments of profound vulnerability. If you are caring for someone with Alzheimer's or dementia, if you are watching someone you love disappear piece by piece, I need you to hear this. Include them, invite them, make space for them in your life and in your big moments and in your daily routines. Yes, it will be hard. Yes, it will be messy. Yes, they will forget things and repeat things and get confused. Yes, people might stare. Yes, you might feel embarrassed or frustrated or exhausted. But none of that matters as much as letting them know they still belong, that they are still part of the family, that they are still loved and valued and wanted, because the feelings you create in them when you include them go deeper than memory. Those feelings settle into their bones, into their hearts, into the parts of them that the disease cannot reach. And even on the days when they do not remember your name, they will remember the feeling of being loved, of being seen, of mattering. Emma's husband told me something in that garden that I think about every day now. He said his mother's doctor once told him that people with Alzheimer's forget facts, but they remember feelings. They might not remember what you said, but they remember how you made them feel. They might not remember where they were, but they remember if they felt safe. They might not remember your name, but they remember if you were kind. And that doctor said this means that every interaction matters, every moment of patience, every gentle touch, every inclusion, every act of love. Those things accumulate in ways we cannot see or measure. Those things create a reservoir of good feelings that the person can draw on even when everything else is gone. So when you are deciding whether to include your mother in your wedding, or your father in the family reunion, or your spouse in the dinner party, remember that. Remember that they might not remember the event itself, but they will remember the feeling of being wanted, of being included, of still mattering to the people they love most. And that feeling is worth whatever discomfort or inconvenience or mess might come with their presence. That feeling is worth more than a perfect day or a flawless event, or the approval of people who do not understand. I want to tell you something else. Something I learned from showing up to that wedding even though I was not invited. I learned that courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is doing the thing you are afraid of anyway. I was terrified to walk into that church, terrified of being rejected, terrified of proving Emma right that I could not be trusted, terrified of embarrassing myself and her and everyone there. But I did it anyway, and in doing it I discovered something about myself I had forgotten. I discovered that I am still brave, that this disease has not taken everything from me, that I still have agency and choice and power, that I can still stand up for myself and fight for what matters and refuse to be erased. And you can do that too. Whatever fear you are facing, whatever shame you are carrying, whatever voices are telling you to make yourself small and stay hidden and not cause trouble, you can ignore those voices. You can choose courage. You can show up anyway. You can demand to be seen and heard and included. You can fight for your right to be present in your own life. And when you do that, you will discover strength you did not know you had. You will inspire the people around you. You will change the narrative about what it means to live with this disease. You will prove that you are more than your diagnosis, more than your symptoms, more than what you have lost. I know this is hard. I know some days you wake up and you do not know where you are or who you are or why anything matters. I know some days the confusion is so overwhelming you just want to give up. I know some days you look at the people you love and you cannot remember their names and the shame of it crushes you. I know some days you feel like you are already gone, even though you are still here breathing and eating and existing in this world. I know because I live those days too, because I am you, because we are walking this path together, even if we will never meet. Even if I forget I wrote this tomorrow. Even if you forget you watched this next week. We are connected by this shared experience of losing ourselves one memory at a time while the world keeps spinning on without us. But here is what else I know. I know that on the days when you can still feel love, you are still alive. On the days when you can still smile at a sunset or pet a dog or taste your favorite food, you are still here. On the days when you can still recognize the face of someone who loves you, you are still yourself. And even on the days when you cannot do any of those things, you are still worthy, still valuable, still deserving of dignity and respect and inclusion. Your worth is not measured by your cognitive function. Your worth is inherent. It exists because you exist, and no disease can change that truth. If you have stayed with me through this entire story, I want to ask you something. I want to ask you to subscribe to this channel if you have not already. Not because I need the numbers, not because it helps some algorithm, but because this channel is building something important. This channel is creating a space where people like us, people who are struggling with memory loss, or watching someone they love struggle, can find stories that remind us we are not alone. Every week there are new stories here, stories of pain and loss and confusion, but also stories of love and courage and moments of unexpected grace. Stories that prove we are more than our diseases. Stories that show us how to keep fighting for the moments that matter. When you subscribe, you are saying, I am part of this community. I refuse to be invisible. I deserve to see and be seen. You are joining thousands of other people who understand this pain, who live this reality every day, who need to know they are not the only ones feeling this way. Subscribe now. Click that button. Join us. Because your story matters. Your struggle matters. You matter. And this channel is here to remind you of that every single week. Subscribe. Do it now. Be part of this community that refuses to let Alzheimer's steal everything from us. That fights to hold on to love even when memory fades. I want to leave you with this final thought. The twist in my story was not just that the groom insisted I be there. The twist was not just that Emma apologized. The real twist is this. I spent so long thinking that my Alzheimer's made me a burden, that it made me someone people had to tolerate, someone who ruined special moments just by being present. But what I learned at that wedding is that my presence, Even with all my confusion and forgetfulness and fear, mattered more than I knew. My showing up gave my daughter the chance to choose love over fear. My being there gave my son-in-law a chance to heal some of the guilt he carried about his own mother. My refusal to be invisible created a moment that changed everyone there in ways I may never fully understand. The disease will take more from me. I know that. There will come a day when I do not remember Emma's name, when I do not recognize her face, when I cannot hold a conversation or feed myself or control my own body. That day is coming and I cannot stop it. But what I can control is whether I let the fear of that future keep me from the present, whether I let shame make me small, whether I let other people's discomfort determine my worth. And I am choosing to keep showing up, to keep being seen, to keep fighting for the moments that matter even when I might not remember them tomorrow. You can make that choice too. Whatever disease you are fighting, whatever struggle you are facing, whatever shame you are carrying, you can choose to show up anyway. You can choose to be seen. You can choose to believe that you are worthy of love and inclusion even when your mind or body fails you. You can choose to fight for the moments that matter. And when you make that choice, you are not just changing your own story. You are changing the story of everyone who loves you. You are giving them permission to love you messily and imperfectly. You are teaching them that perfection is not required for presence. You are showing them that love is bigger than disease. That is what I learned at my daughter's wedding. That is the twist no one saw coming. Not even me. I thought I was going there to take something, to claim a right I had been denied. But what I actually did was give something. I gave my daughter the gift of a second chance. The gift of being able to look back on her wedding day and know she did not shut me out. The gift of memories that include me even if I cannot hold on to them myself. And I gave myself the gift of knowing I was brave, that I showed up, that I mattered, that I was seen. If you are reading this, you are seen too. Your struggle is real. Your pain is valid. Your fight is worth it. Do not give up. Do not hide. Do not let this disease or any disease convince you that you are not worthy of being present in your own life. Keep showing up. Keep being brave. Keep choosing love over fear. And remember that even if you forget these words tomorrow, they will still be true. You matter. You are loved. You deserve to be seen. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being part of this community. Subscribe if you have not yet. Comment below with, "I deserve to be seen," so other people know they are not alone. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. And keep fighting. Keep showing up. Keep being brave. Your story is not over. There are still moments worth fighting for. There is still love worth holding on to. There is still beauty in this broken journey. I promise you that. I know it because I lived it. And you can too.